It's Pueblo's greatest hits, KPHT 95.5 on a Friends Friday. My longtime friend in here, and I use friend kind of loosely. Adam Uhernik, man, how you doing?
Good, Nick. How are you doing? Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you wouldn't go away. I thought I better just invite you in, you know.
Yeah, right. You know, you're always blowing up my phone. Adam, what about this?
Come
hey,
on,
what's
can we
going
hang
on over
out?
there?
Yeah, can we hang out? Anyway, you are what's your official title? PIO?
Yeah, Public Information Officer for Pueblo County Government.
Is that what PIO stands for? I was thinking of some other things. But
I
anyway,
bet.
yeah,
I don't want to leave that up to your imagination. I'll set the record straight right away. But Public Information Officer. So basically,
you do the press releases and stuff?
Press releases, media, anything having to do with media, external, internal communications for the government.
Really? So what you're saying is I'm paying your salary for being in here right now.
That's right. So take as long as you want. You know,
So
we'll hang out all day if you want to.
No thanks, man. But now, you know, it should be fun. We go way back. Actually, I went to high school with your dad now that I think about it.
Gee, poor guy. I
know, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. And then, you know, what's interesting is, you know, my career and what I started in the radio industry with you and Wallace Cotton when I was 14, 15 years old in this same studio right here. So it's interesting how it all comes, you know, 180 and comes back around, which is interesting.
And I remember you before you came in here, because you were an intern at one. We'll talk about some of that, but we were doing some of those food drives and stuff, and you would show up at those food drives and bring us food and stuff, and you like the media.
I do. You know, I love being around the speakers and the soundboards.
You still do, huh?
I love it. And, you know, that's what's interesting about my job now is because when I was hanging out with you and Wally, those tough days, but I learned so much about that technology. And now today when we put on big events, you know, I need to know about soundboards and speakers.
Yeah, but that technology we were using is junk now.
A little different, huh?
Yeah,
but,
a little bit.
I guess the basic idea is kind of the same, you know, of the audio and stuff.
Right.
I love it. Yeah, it's interesting.
So still, you didn't get that. We didn't scare you off.
Well, a little bit, but, you know, I took a little different diversion. But no, it was interesting. People always ask me, how did you start your career in the media business? Because I was in TV for 15 years and that. But I always say I started with Nick Donovan and Wallace Cotton. And it's interesting.
There goes your credibility.
There it goes right there. So. But it's interesting because, you know, when I started with you guys, there was no scripting. No. There was ad-libbing.
Kind of like right now.
Exactly. And how to work a microphone and headphones and all that. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Well, there you go. We're going to see what you've been doing since then a little bit, too. But Adam Uhernik in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. On a Friends Friday, my friend in today, Adam Uhernik, PIO of the Pueblo County government, right? So.
Exactly. I was in the TV business, radio business for 15, 20 years, and then I made the switch to PR. And so I do a lot of public relations for the government, the county commissioners, and other elected officials as they request.
Wow,
so
that's quite the responsibility, actually.
Yeah, it's a big change in my career, but I've been doing this for 5 years now, which is interesting.
Really? 5 years already?
Yeah,
wow.
So I worked for Channel 11, you know.
Right, some time in there. And what you were out of the market, was it Nebraska or something, Lincoln or something you were in?
Yeah, so when I left Pueblo, I went to Sioux City, Iowa, and then went to Rapid City, South Dakota, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska for a while, and then
Big
decided
Red.
to come back. Yeah,
everything's
exactly.
Big Red there. Wow.
Everybody supports the football team, that's for sure.
That's for sure. So. It's like the Broncos, only it's a college football team, but amazing. But, you know, thinking back about it, we were talking about some other stuff. I know that you're an avid Jingle Bell Rock hunter.
Oh, my gosh, Nick. These clues. We got to talk about these clues because, I know. It's interesting because,
You've been looking for that forever, though.
Well, for years, you're having people look for a rock.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but no, it's cool. Yeah, it's neat that you've been able to keep that tradition going for years.
And we always have a joke that because you're always telling me, I'm going to find that rock this year because I've been looking for it. I'm going to find that rock. I'm getting into your head, and you're always on the wrong side of town.
I know. You know, I think my problem is that I put too much emphasis on these clues that you're giving. I need to be more generic and open-minded.
Oh, you think? Okay, all right.
Way more generic and open-minded. But it is interesting. It's pretty cool that you've kept that tradition alive for all these years.
It's a lot of fun.
I remember my parents looking for the Jingle Bell.
Well, I looked for it too, and I was like you. I was always on the way wrong side of town. Yeah.
Were the clues better back then, or they got
evidently
worse?
not. I don't know. That's a good point. You know, people tell me all the time. You know, they get all disgusted when somebody finds it. That was so much better when it was KDZA. I'm like, dude, I did it for 20 years at KDZA. What do you think happened there, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, Lee Douglas and I, that was our baby there for a long time. But anyway, Adam Uhernik in here on a Friends Friday. No, he has never even came close to the Jingle Bell Rock. Yes. It's Pueblo's greatest hits, KPHT 95.5 on a Friends Friday. My longtime friend Adam Uhernik in here, PIO. What is that now?
Public Information Officer, Pueblo County Government.
Public Information Officer.
And I'm not going to leave that acronym to your mind.
I'm trying to make it right. I'm trying to show you some respect.
Oh, geez.
I don't know what I'm thinking, but so you went to Mass. I know you went to South originally, right? And then you went to. Did you go to Pitts or did you go to
I went to Roncalli, actually. Yeah, Roncalli, then South. Graduated in 2001 from South, and then went to CSU Pueblo. And graduated from the MassCom program.
So you did go through the MassCom program up there.
Yeah.
Who was your instructor at that time?
There were a couple of them, Sam Ebersol.
Right.
Sam Lovato.
Right.
Trish Orman. Jen. And I think that was about it.
Jen Mullen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great program at that time.
Absolutely. No, it was stellar. A lot of good people come out of, the one that amazes me, and I shouldn't say amazes me, but Dana Perino came out of there.
Right.
And Dana Perino was in this building, too, actually, at one time.
Oh, she was? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago. But, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's what you always, I know when you were a young kid, you were, again, as we mentioned, you kind of liked radio. You kind of fascinated with radio and all that stuff. So you've been able to follow your dream pretty much.
Yeah, I have. And, we started here with you and Wallace Cotton when I was 15 years old, just coming by the radio station and kind of
driving us crazy.
With, live remotes and seeing that. And then went into the TV side of things after college.
Well, you were an intern here, and we gave you a different name back then.
Oh, geez.
Manuel Love.
See, and I think that shot my credibility right from the start.
You think it did? Yeah. So we'll just, all right, that's the last time I'll mention Manuel Love.
I know it. Should. Oh, how funny. Those were good days, though. That was back in the,
it was
the
fun.
olden days.
As we were just talking, back in those days, about this time of the day, we'd have, about 10 in the morning or so, we'd have like 35 people in this building.
Right.
Now it's 10 in the morning, and it's you and I, and that makes me a little nervous.
That's scary for me.
Yeah.
Well, technology has changed in the media business, radio,
absolutely.
TV,
absolutely.
And you just don't need as many people in the business, or they're working remotely from home, from a cafe. There's a lot of TV reporters that are working from coffee cafes. And
That's
stuff
amazing.
Like that.
That's just amazing. Yeah. Well, when I started, we were playing 45s. That's how much everything has changed. So. Yeah. There you go. And when I started, you weren't born.
Oh, geez.
I don't think. What year were you born?
82.
Well, I guess you were. Yeah, I guess you were. Hey, it's a Friends Friday. My friend in today, Adam Uhernik, PIO of Pueblo County Government. Did I get that correct?
You got it. Good job, Nick.
There you go. Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. My friend in on Friends Friday today, Adam Uhernik, PIO of Pueblo County Government. Man, that sounds official.
You like that acronym, huh?
Well, I'm thinking of all kinds of things, and FCC will not allow me to use things like
that's
that.
Scary.
So now what do you do? I mean, what's a day in the life of Adam Uhernik now?
Well, that's kind of scary, too.
Yeah,
but I'll give you the insight.
You still get up about noon or so? And
yeah, I go to lunch. And I have a couple lunch breaks, then go to dinner and then come back for lunch.
I know better than that.
I know.
Yeah.
No, my day starts at 8 to 5, basically. And work out of the historic courthouse downtown.
What a wonderful building that is,
A 100-year-old building, a lot of history in that building.
Every time I go in there, I just, when you're waiting 3 hours in line for license plates, I stand around, man, this building is cool. It's gotten a lot better, I got to say.
That's
that.
good. I'm glad you're happy with that.
But, the building is just amazing. And so your office is right in there somewhere.
Right in there on the ground floor.
Wow.
And so I work with Nikki Hart, who owns her own digital marketing company. And Anthony Mestis works in our office as well, doing videos. So we do all kinds of communications, just letting the citizens of Pueblo County know what its Pueblo County government is doing, basically, what the commissioners are doing and that. And
so you put a lot of that on Facebook. I know that, correct?
Facebook. We have an email distribution list that we use. We're on Instagram and some other social media sources. And then we have our county website where we put that on there. working on some ideas on maybe a community newscast and different things like that.
Wow,
that
that's
kind of
awesome.
Throwing around for the future, Because as you know, as times have changed with the media business, we're working on different ways to tell our own story.
Sure.
To get the information out there.
Sure.
So.
Any good stories about things that have happened in that courthouse?
I always hear stories about how employees think it's haunted.
I've heard that too, yeah.
I hear, from the facility crews who are cleaning at night, especially when
well, the
everybody's
building
gone
kind of
home,
leads itself to seeming that, I would think.
Yeah, I heard somebody knocking on the door, nobody was there, or a door slam and stuff like that. I've been in the building at night or on the weekends sometimes when I'm working overtime, for you. And
yeah, for me, yeah.
The taxpayer. But I haven't experienced anything like that, but I've heard a lot of stories of it being haunted.
Really?
So.
Well, I could, like I say, I could see that building lending itself to some things like that.
What's interesting about that building too, Nick, is there's just a lot of history and a lot of spaces in that building that the public never gets to see.
I'll bet.
So
I'll bet.
I always say, maybe for Halloween we should do like a haunted tour through the historic courthouse. I think that'd be
pretty cool.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool. Wow. So. Adam Uhernik in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. Friends Friday, my longtime friend in Adam Uhernik today, PIO, I will just leave it at that, at Pueblo County government. So you're in the courthouse, and do you ever go nosing around in there?
A little bit sometimes, just kind of.
You were talking about,
a
little while ago, some people think it's haunted or whatever, but so you see any cool stuff in there that's like old stuff? I'm into old stuff.
Are you? Yeah, and we'll have to start doing we did tours for school kids in that before COVID hit. And that,
oh, really?
We kind of stopped. We'll have to start that up again. But there's some cool vaults in there that are, 100 years old. That building's 100 years old. And then you have the records in there from the old
So that's what would be in those vaults is to go through the test of time, I guess, or whatever. Really?
Yeah,
so
some of the old resolutions and stuff from the commissioners back in the 1860s, from when it was started, 1861.
I never really thought about that, I guess. So that stuff is housed in the county courthouse.
It is, and they're digitizing a lot of those records now. But, we're really the keeper of history. We're telling history, and everyday history is made when a commissioner passes a resolution, right, or the commissioners do. And so it's kind of neat because you go through those resolutions from the early 1900s. Well, they're all handwritten. Because you didn't have a computer back then.
I never thought about that. Computer, typewriter, whatever. So
yeah, instead of maybe trading money, maybe they were doing a horse or a cattle or something back then.
It's logged in that ledger or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's neat to see what was valuable to them back then and how they conducted business versus how we conduct business now.
So what happens, is all this stuff, if there was a flood or something or fire, and that building I'm sure is fairly fireproof or whatever, was kind of designed that way, so that stuff stays safe forever, right?
Yeah, because it's in that vault, and these vaults are huge vaults with, feet of concrete that they're protected in. So it's pretty neat how that works and that. And you go in and you open the door, and that door is heavy.
Sure.
Which is kind of cool. So,
yeah.
And a lot of what they're doing now through grants and stuff are digitizing the records. And then that way they're more accessible online and stuff like that.
So
or
people could look and see.
Or fire.
Well, you still got it. But so people could see, hey, my great-great-great-grandfather got married and I can see it here or whatever.
Well, yeah, because, you go to the courthouse to get your marriage license, and they've done that for over 100 years here. So, you could go back and look at the first marriage license that was issued in Pueblo County, for example.
Wow.
And stuff like that with the recording department.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
We did a story on Valentine's Day, because more people are coming in on Valentine's Day to get their marriage license.
Oh, okay.
So we did pull the first marriage license.
Oh, really?
That was issued, and there was something about some cattle on there or some type of that they paid.
So a guy married a cow?
I don't know what happened there, but either that or they paid with the cow. I don't know.
Yeah, I probably don't want to know.
I'm not going to even go there because
it's in black and white.
I'm going to get in trouble with that statement. But
yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting to go back in history and kind of check that out. Or you look at some of the murals that were painted in the building.
Oh, that's the part I'm talking about. When you're just standing there waiting for license plates or whatever, and you look at some of that stuff, it's unbelievable.
It is neat. Yeah, and what I really like, too, now we do our historic courthouse lighting ceremony to start the holiday season. And we have fireworks that are cool and beautiful off of a historic building like that.
We're going to talk about that coming up, all right?
Sounds
Adam
good.
Uhernik in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. On a Friends Friday, my longtime friend, Adam Uhernik, in here today. And so did you use your real name on TV when you were doing TV?
You know, I did. And a lot of people said, you know, you should not use your last name because it's Uhernik. And people actually remembered me on the TV because of my last name.
Georgianne Limberopoulos was the same way.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it actually worked in my favor when I was in the TV business. People be like, "Hey, you're that Adam.
You're that you.
What? How do you say your last name? What nationality is that? What's going on?"
So did your grandfather or something come from the old country here, or what? Have you ever looked into that?
You know, a little bit. We have an Italian heritage kind of, background in my family.
Well, Uhernik's not Italian, is it?
It's more Bojan.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I thought, yeah.
But my grandma was part of the Osciato family.
Oh, no kidding.
You knew that. But,
I did not.
So that's kind of where the Italian part comes in, and everything.
But they came through Ellis Island and all that stuff, I imagine, back in the day. Yeah. Why don't you get through your research and check that out?
I know exactly. I didn't know we were going to do a social studies test here this morning, but I'll get back to you on that.
When you come in here, you're my victim here, But that's interesting stuff. So, I mean, but you're generation after generation Puebloans, right? Obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I grew up here in Pueblo. My parents grew up here in Pueblo. And
it sounds like your grandparents did, too.
They did.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, actually, my mom's dad worked for the power company years and years ago. I think it was Centel back then, and working to keep people's power on.
Right.
So I remember when we would sell candy bars and to raise money in that when we were in school.
Right.
We'd go there and sell candy bars for $1, and he'd take us through the power company.
Wow, that was
cool.
probably pretty cool down there on Victoria or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That building that's not used now.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if it's used. But,
I don't think it's used. Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But, it's interesting. Pueblo has a lot of history.
Pueblo is Pueblo, yeah. Everybody's you're probably related to Kevin Bacon somehow. Isn't that how that 7 degrees or something there? I don't.
You got to be careful.
I'm probably related to you too now that I think about it. Adam Uhernik in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. On a Friends Friday, my longtime friend in Adam Uhernik today, PIO, I guess that's officer, PI officer. Is that correct?
Yeah, public information officer.
Officer.
See, so you
Adam
better mind
Uhernik.
Your P's and Q's there, Nick.
Yeah, Officer Adam Uhernik with me this morning. But, hey, before you came back here, we talked about a little bit ago to be the public information officer of Pueblo County. You did some TV stuff. You were saying Sioux City, Iowa. Isn't that home of David Letterman's Mostly Pants or whatever the name of that?
Something like that.
Something from our home office in Sioux City, Iowa. Sioux City. But you did TV at those locations.
I did. When I graduated from CSU Pueblo College there, I applied to 100 TV stations around the country, and I went to Sioux City, Iowa, of all places, which is interesting. About 12 hours away from Pueblo. But what was interesting when I was there, within the first year or so, you had the presidential candidates coming. And
Iowa was kind
Iowa
of
caucuses.
I was going to say, Iowa was a hot spot for all that, right?
Yeah, I had no idea at that time. I actually wasn't even interested in politics.
Right.
And then I started interviewing these presidential candidates, and
really,
pretty
presidential candidates.
Yeah. So one of the first candidates I interviewed was this guy named Barack Obama.
You're kidding me.
And no, I got my picture, with these candidates and that. But my assignment editor at the time said, "We have this candidate. His name's Barack Obama." I said, "Who's that?"
Who the hell's Barack
some
Obama?
Guy running for president.
Yeah,
from Chicago, and he instantly became very, very famous, and as you know, of course, president. But and then Hillary.
Oh, he
Clinton,
was president.
Yeah, for a couple of years, here and there.
So you interviewed Hillary Clinton?
Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were my two main candidates that I was assigned to.
So what do you ask Hillary Clinton?
Well, it was kind of interesting, because I was at first really, really
intimidated.
Nervous about,
I would think so.
Yeah, I was, one-man band, very young, my 20s, interviewing these presidential candidates. But to me, she was very nice. I was going through school, getting my master's degree at the time, and even before the interview, she would take 10 or 15 minutes to ask how I was doing, how work was going, how my education was going.
So a lot more personable than she comes across.
Yeah, I think so, off camera.
I'll be darned.
It was interesting is the way, I got to know these candidates and their PR people, and then they would specifically contact me to do one-on-one interviews with these candidates throughout their course in Iowa. So I would actually interviewed both candidates about 10 to 12 times.
You're kidding.
Yeah,
I'll be darned. And you don't have a job in Washington somewhere?
No, I came back to Pueblo. But yeah, it's some interesting time because what's really cool is then, you get to work with the Secret Service
Sure.
and all that, see how they do all that. And I remember one time I was getting ready to do my interview with Hillary Clinton, and this guy walked in, the safe room, they called it there, where they had us set up, and that Secret Service took that guy out right away.
Oh, really?
Right out, yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of interesting to see them, and they don't mess around, and they run background checks on all of us and everything.
What's a good thing they didn't call me about you.
I said, yeah, if you called Nick, I wouldn't pass that background check. But it was an interesting experience.
I'll bet.
It's really, really cool to see, depending, no matter, what politics you are,
Yeah,
but
but
it doesn't
still,
matter. You're interviewing somebody running for president. That's
right.
how I viewed it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be darned.
Yeah,
I never knew anybody that interviewed the president, so now I can say I do.
But what's interesting is I could have went to any TV station, by chance in the country, but what are the chances I got hired in Sioux City, Iowa? Here comes all these presidential candidates coming through the area. So that's
I'll be darned.
Cool.
That is cool. Destiny or whatever. You know?
Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Adam Uhernik in here this morning, PIO. Mr. Officer himself. Yes.
I'm going to call for backup if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. There's no Secret Service here, pal. It's Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits. My longtime friend Adam Uhernik in here, Public Information Officer at Pueblo County. I'm starting to get that down now a little bit. But
I'm just glad you're not inserting other words.
No,
I
know.
Part.
Yeah, I know.
Because I know you want to.
Federal Communications Commission likes to step in on that stuff, But who hired you at Pueblo County?
Well, actually, our county commissioners did. That's what
I mean. Who was it at the time?
It was Commissioner Garrison Ortiz, who, of course,
who's
is
still
there.
In
office.
Yeah.
Worked with him for 5 years and gotten to know him a lot. Commissioner Sal Pace at the time, remember him, and then Commissioner Terry Hart.
Sure, I used to play basketball with Terry Hart many years ago.
Yeah, it was interesting because when I applied for the job, I went in and I did an interview, and I walked in, and there's the 3 county commissioners and a couple other people on the interview panel. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
This is a stressful thing.
I got to get out of here. What did I do?
Yeah.
But what's interesting going into the interview is that people that had 10, 15 years of PR experience were walking out of there, and I thought, I'm never going to get this job.
Right.
I don't have any PR experience. And before I walked into the interview, something told me, reread that job description, Adam. So I did. And they were looking for broadcasting experience. People who were actually in the business, which is an interesting, different take that they had at the time on this position, because they wanted somebody that was in the business, that understood the business, to help carry their message forward.
Makes sense, really, if you think about it. Yeah.
So
a lot of the PIOs around town have gone through mass comm, and a lot of them haven't.
Right.
And you can tell the difference,
Yeah, because you actually understand, the message and how, the TV news reporters are going to write the story and the angle that you want to pitch.
Right, the angles, yeah.
Yeah, and all of that.
I'll be darned.
Spin that story. But no, it's just interesting, because you really need to make, and what my job is to really make government
fun
and relevant to people, relevant to the media.
I was joking when I said fun. But
we have a lot of fun, though.
I could tell.
Courthouse lighting and some different things there. So
I know you keep pushing that. We're going to talk about that coming up, all right? Because I know that's your baby.
Yeah,
that courthouse lighting. That is a good thing there. Yeah.
So.
There you go. Friends Friday. My longtime friend Adam Uhernik in here on KPHT 95.5. Longtime friend Adam Uhernik in here one more time as the PIO of Pueblo County government. I never thought those words would run off my lips.
I didn't either, a job that changed my life. And
an
acronym.
Well, good stuff. We chatted about it a little bit ago, and I said, hey, you got to hold off here. But now I'm going to let you talk about the courthouse lighting that goes on the Thanksgiving weekend, basically. Or no, it's the week of Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, it's always the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Before Thanksgiving, okay.
And that works out pretty good. It's a good way to kick off the holidays in downtown Pueblo with fireworks. We usually do some lasers at the historic courthouse.
And I got to give you credit, and I don't like giving you credit that much.
Let's get this on the record for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but that event was awesome. Awesome. I mean, everything was just awesome about that. You decorate the inside of the courthouse. The outside is just unbelievable what goes on down there.
Well, and thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate it. But the volunteers, the facility staff, and that all come together, the vendors that we hire. I mean, you're probably talking about 50 people just working the event to make it go.
To make it happen.
Yeah, and it's a combination of Pueblo County facility staff, my crew, volunteers who decorate the inside of the courthouse, to our vendors who are working outside to make the lighting and the fireworks go.
Yeah.
There's probably 50 to 60 people that are working hard to make that event go, which is interesting.
Well, it is. And I thought, when I first heard you were going to do this, and I'm notorious for this, you told me what you were going to do. I thought, who's going to go to this? I kind of told Rod Slyhoff the same about the Chili Fest. I told Tommy Jaidon the same about bands in the backyard. I'm thinking the same thing. Well, obviously, you had a vision for something that it turned out really cool.
Yeah, and we obviously get sponsors, and what I'm really proud about is you get private money to donate to this, companies that donate private money to do the fireworks and stuff. We don't use taxpayer dollars, so don't worry, Nick. I'm not
you can see the gears in my head.
I see you're all revved up.
Yeah.
But interesting. So it's a community event that's free, that's paid for by businesses.
Wow.
So it's really a cool engagement and everything. But,
that is awesome.
And you and Black Hills and Excel Energy were the three original sponsors back in 2018, and you guys all still are today. So I think I got a text message or a phone call from you a few months ago. Adam, can I be the voice of the courthouse lighting?
Oh, yeah, we know better than that.
We'll see when the commercials come out in October. But no, I really appreciate everybody. It's a true team event and community event, and people. I never thought it would get this big. I never thought we'd walk out and see.
So how many people did you estimate were there this past?
So we estimated 4,000 people.
Okay.
And the way we estimate that is we have drone pilots that are taking pictures and video of the crowd and the event. And then what we do is we use a mapping tool that's free online, and we just insert that, and you can overlay that, and it'll estimate how many people.
Because I figured you just looked out there. There's about 4,000.
Yeah, about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people. No, there's actually a method to our madness. So we take photos of the crowd, and then we use a mapping tool.
Figure out per square foot or whatever kind of thing.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, Adam Uhernik, thank you so much for getting up early on a Friday morning and coming in. It's a pleasure seeing you. I never thought I'd say that either, but yeah.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Nick. It's been a pleasure being in here with you, and thank you for everything you and Wally did for me at the beginning and throughout my career.
Absolutely. I appreciate your friendship too, man. Adam Uhernik in here on a Friends Friday on KPHT 95.5, Pueblo's greatest hits.